on. Okay, glad you could jump on. All right. So once again, this is a live Q&A. Okay, so it's a live Q&A. So I'm here to answer music questions, right? So that's what I love to do for those of you that are NEQ Music members, those that are watching it on the replay. Obviously, this is live right now, but if you're watching on the replay, you know that I always love your questions when you guys come back and say, Robert, okay, I had a question about this. Robert, Theory's saying this. Robert, I heard this about, a song or whatever. Can you explain that? And I love to be able to explain it, to be able to look at it a certain way that makes things a lot easier. I think I'm able to look at music a lot easier than some people are looking at it, right? Now, music can be very complex, don't get me wrong. However, if you change the way you're looking at it, it should be a lot easier, okay? So I'm here once again to answer music-related questions if you have any, all right? Or so, okay? Let me see. Okay, Ross, you have a question. Okay, so guys, when you see me going down below, it's because on my screen, the writing's like so small. So I have to try and jump down and find it. So, okay, so Ross, okay, I'm doing well. Question, I saw on your system you chose to follow the circle of fourths for the war training and basically anything that involves playing in all keys. Okay, why is that? That is an excellent question. Okay, so those, it's such a good question. I'm going to say it, I'm going to read it again, Ross. Ross says, I'm doing well. Okay, question, I saw on your system, you choose to follow the circle of fourths for the, for the war training and basically anything that involves playing in all keys. Why is that? That is an excellent question, okay? So, so for example, so why he's asking, so in terms of the chords, let me see how far I can go. I can go over here. Okay, let's see how that's, you see that? Okay, let me bring that down. Or actually, let's bring this up a little bit. Okay, so we have the C. So what I say C, then naturally we jump to the F. Oh my gosh. So guys, you'll see that I understand music, but my penmanship needs some work. Okay. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So you have C, F, B flat, E flat. Then, I'm going to go to A flat. I'm going to go to C sharp. Let's say I'm going to jump to F sharp. I'm going to jump to B. I'm going to jump to E. I'm going to jump to A. I'm going to jump to D and jump to G. Now, Ross is asking, Robert, why do you do that in terms of your playing? Well, there's two reasons why I do it. Okay, well, let me just say, let's list the reasons, just in case there's more reasons. Okay, well, number one is if I practice, let's say I was practicing my chords, okay, and I wanted to practice my chords. Hopefully you guys can hear that. I'm sure you can. If you can't, you'll tell me, right? Let's say if I was practicing my chords, and I just went from C and went semitones up. Let me see, hold on. Let me do this. Okay, so at least we can have a piano. Now, so that you guys know, this is like very, looks like an old-fashioned type of stream, okay? There's a way how to get my regular PowerPoint stuff, which I usually do for the NEQ Music members, right? But I haven't figured out how to transfer that over to the Facebook Live, so it's kind of hard. So this is all you guys get. Hopefully I'm good enough to be able to answer your question. But let's go to the question. So you guys can see that there's the little piano here. Maybe I can make, no? Sorry, let me do this. Make it a little bigger. Okay, so let's say if we have that, all right? So here's the deal with why we do this, all right? If I was practicing my major chords, and what I always tell the NEQ Music members is when you practice your chords, first of all, you practice in three ways. Your right hand plays a chord, your left hand plays a root, and then your left hand plays a chord, and your right hand plays the root, and then both hands play the chords, and you practice them like that, right? So let's say we got all of that aside. Now, if we were to practice our chords, and then we were just doing all semitones, right? When we do all semitones, guess what's happening? Right? You're doing all semitones, but it's a little bit easier to just go up by semitones because you can almost move one finger up a semitone, move another finger up a semitone, and you could kind of figure your way out through that. So number one, that's making it a lot easier. I believe in strength training, musical strength training, whereas where you do it in a separate order, when you scatter them around, what ends up happening, it makes it harder. Okay, and when it makes it harder, even though it's easier, you're getting better results. Because guess what? Everybody only has 24 hours in a day, and sometimes a lot of people are busy. So you want to make sure you're maximizing your practice, because you're never going to get that time back. So by spacing it out, by going C to F to B flat and all that kind of stuff, right? When we're doing that, what's end up happening? It's making it harder, and it's also stretching your mind. All right, so the second thing is actually allowing your mind to have to really work hard, because the majority of, I always tell people, when you see guys that play really well, you're thinking that they can play. Yes, it may look like they can play, but the most important thing is, how are they thinking? What are they doing up here, right? They think a certain way. When you see them play and add different things in there, it's because they understand how to think. And that's what you want to be able to do, okay? So the second thing is it's going to challenge your mind. And the third thing, so there's three things. The number 3 reason why we do that is because it's getting your ear in tune to it's getting your ear in tune to how music works, okay? So this sound, we got to get that sound in your head, right? Without you thinking about that sound in your head, right? Because that's later on going to turn into very advanced arrangements, and there's a whole bunch of other things that I can teach you about what that's going to be. But I don't want you to be focusing on it, and I don't want it to be hard by the time we get into really advanced arrangements, all right? So those are the 3 things why I always tell people to do it in that particular order. You'll get the best results if you do it that way, okay? Very good question, Ross. Thank you. The keyboard is kind of low. Okay, oops, let's do this. So let's maybe turn it up. Hopefully that's not too loud in terms of the keyboard. All right, so hopefully that keyboard, hopefully that is, hopefully that is good. Okay, so Ross, hopefully I answered your questions. I know that there is a slight lag in terms of when I speak and in terms of when a comment pops up or so. All right, so Ross, if I didn't answer your question, please let me know. Just let me know that I didn't answer your question. Okay, so sounds great now. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And once again, the lives are just so crazy. Okay, so guys, forgive me for the start and all the technical glitches. I got to get back into it. Once I learn something, I always tell people, I'm a very slow learner. I learn very slow, but once I get something, I get it. It was the same thing with music. I'm a slow learner because I'm very detailed and I want to understand. But once I understand, I go very fast. Okay, so, all right. So Laurent, I hope I pronounce it. How different is accompaniment from playing solo piano, and where should my focus be since I want to play worship? Okay. All right, so how different is accompaniment? So let's put it like, let me put it here. How different is so 1 second. I gotta move this screen over so I can see some stuff. Okay, so thank you guys for your patience here. Okay. So how different is accompaniment? Let's say here, accompaniment versus solo piano. Okay, Robert, let's use the black because it doesn't look like the green is coming through. Okay, so let's go like this. Accompaniment versus solo piano. Okay, so I can tell you just off the top, solo piano takes more work. And the reason why it takes more work is because you're solo. It's like if you were lifting a heavy weight. If you do it by yourself, it's going to be, let's say it was 400 pounds, right? Trying to lift 400 pounds on your own may be a little bit hard. However, if you have others that accompany you, then it's a little bit lighter load. So what am I saying? So the difference here is solo piano, you're going to have to do a couple things. So you're going to have to do, let's say if there's no bass player, you're going to have to do the low part as a bass. You're going to have your chords, and you may have to have your melody so that everything can sound complete. All right, so that's why in the NEQ music system, I'm eventually going to teach you a principle called progressions with melodies, where you can play the bass, you can play the chord, and you can play the melody at the same time. So you'll be playing, so instead of playing, well, I'll show you the difference in a second. So accompaniment would be that you accompany, so you don't have to do all the work. Now, most of the time when you're playing with a band or in a group with a singer singing, you just have to play the accompaniment. It's a lot easier. So your focus with accompaniment would just be, you know, playing the chords. Now, if you have a bass player, you don't have to worry about the bass, right? Or playing all the way down here on the low parts of the piano or the organ or whatever you're playing in terms of keyboard, because they're going to take care of that. You just have to play the chords. So you have to get good at either playing rather basic chords, or you get good at playing, playing different bigger chords that you can actually put together. All right, so that would be the purpose of that. So your focus would just be an accompaniment, just playing. So let's say if there was, I don't want to sing, right? But let's say that was the melody, right? So if I'm playing accompaniment, I just have to play the chords. Right? Obviously that's basic, but if we do it a little bit easier, let's say I was playing accompaniment a little bit, not easier, a little bit more advanced. So, right? So I can actually put all of that stuff in. It frees me up because actually, well, was I playing the melody there? No, I was playing the chords, right? But I can actually free myself up to do a little bit more because somebody else is taking the melody. So in terms of accompaniment, the basic way of accompaniment would be this. Would basically be like your right hand can play the chord and your left hand can play the basic root, all right? Just the main key. That's the basic form of playing it. Another part of accompaniment is where both right hand could play the chord and your left hand could play a part of a chord. So you can play, let's say, 2 notes, or can play even 3 notes that complement and form chords. I have a teaching or webinar that I've done that's called left hand, which is the things that you can do with your left hand, and I call them completer. So they can complete a chord. So instead of playing the right hand playing C major and your left hand playing just C by itself, then I can have my right hand playing the chord, left hand playing the 1, the 5, and the 7, right? And then my right hand can switch to a different chord, right? So that's what I call, and then I can play that as accompaniment. Da, 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 da. All right, so then I can accompany. Now solo piano is I'm gonna have to do all that myself. So if you're playing basic, then you'd have to be like, well, not this, my hand just slipped, but you'd have to be like, right? That's basic. So you'd have to do that. And the reason why you have to have that melody is because people need to know what you're playing, or they'll just be hearing you playing the songs. You'll just be hearing you playing chords and you can't tell. All right? Now, when you're playing accompaniment, then obviously that can be covered. But when you're playing the solo piano, right? So what did I do? I played solo piano, right? My focus was playing the melody and the chords and arrangements. So that's basically how you do it. Okay, now obviously that's the short answer to your question, but hopefully that answers a little bit. What should my focus be since I want to play worship? So yeah, so when you're playing the worship songs, Laurent, all you have to do is basically just play the chords to accompany the singer that's going to be singing, all right? But you make sure you master principles, all right? That's very important. And I know you have this system, okay? So Ross, you said, why is the circle of fourths so important in other theory circles? Well, the reason is because they use that to identify, chord progressions. There's certain chord progressions that happen, Ross. So you're asking, why is circle of fourths so important? Okay. Okay, when learning a song by ear, would one be able, for example, hear a guitar lead or solo and translate it by ear to the piano? Oh, of course. All right. So Ross, yes, that's what, at least how I teach it in an NEQ music system. I teach that you can actually play everything that you hear. So whatever sticks out in your ears, that's when you're going to be able to play it. But you got to be able to play by ear, and you got to be able to play in every key. Once you're able to play in every key, then you can identify the sound of the music that you're hearing. So for example, when you said, why is the circle force so important in other series circles? Well, I'll say it like this. So for example, when you're practicing this, the C, the F, and the B flat, now we're going to be doing some teaching now, okay? I love teaching, okay? Which key, or let me put it like this. In the key of B flat, okay, in the key of B flat, what number is C? So obviously you guys are going to have to know your major scale. So I'm going to be talking at the intermediate level. So I'm going to be talking at the level where I assume you know how to play a major scale, right? But my question is, in the key of B flat, okay, so we know that in the B flat major scale, we know that B flat is the 1, right? We know that this is the 1 in the key of B flat, okay? So my question is, okay, what number is C in the key of B flat, okay? So let's double, okay, so Ross, you said, I mean 2, exactly. So it's the 2, okay? Now in the key of B flat, once again, what is F? What number is F in the key of B flat, okay? So what number is F in the key of B flat? So obviously this is going to be some of the teaching or so, okay? So what number is F in the key of B flat? Now once again, Robert, you just gotta wait because there is a slight lag. Okay, so I'll wait for your answer. In the key of B flat, so we need to know obviously our major scale in the key of B flat, right? It is number, exactly, it's number 5. So for example, indirectly when you're practicing it in this order, I don't have to say memorize, okay, you gotta memorize the, okay, well, so you guys see, okay, let me just put it under here. I didn't know you can't see it. So let's put it here. Let's say this is the 2. Let's say this is the 5, and this is the 1, right? So for example, you're going to hear a lot of things in jazz and gospel. You know, they'll talk about a progression called, you know, the 2, the 5, and the 1. Well, that's a 2-5-1 in the key of B flat, right? That's the 2-5-1 in the key of B flat. So by you practicing this without even thinking, you're automatically practicing 2-5-1 without having to try to memorize progressions. I meet people like, okay, I got to memorize 2-5-1, 7-3-5, 7-3-6, 2-5. I'm like, okay, are you memorizing it or do you know it? You don't want to memorize it. You want to know it, okay? So basically, that's going to be 2-5-1. Let me ask you this question, and that's why it's important. You guys are going to always see, well, if you stay around me long enough, for those of you that are members, you know that this is what I always say, is that you got to be obviously playing every key. But let's put it like this. Let's ask you this question. Which key or what is, let me say, let's put it like this. Okay, in the key of E flat, right? We know that E flat is the 1, okay? I like to use Roman numerals. Okay, let me put Roman numerals because that's what I like to usually put. Okay, E flat. In the key of E flat, what number is B flat? Okay, and all right. All right, so in the key of E flat, what number is B flat? E flat is the 1. What number is B flat in the key of E flat? Okay, and what number is F in the key of E flat? Okay. So I will wait. It's a Ross. It's a 5. Okay. Thank you. So I'll put a V for a 5, or should I put the regular numbers? Okay. Just in case there's some people that don't know me yet in terms of regular numbers, I'll just change it. Okay. So so we'll put it so that's clearly to see. So E flat is a 1, right? B flat is what? We said it's a 5. So what number is F in the key of E flat? Okay, and thank you, Ellie, thank you very much. You already put it there, it's 2. So what number is C in the key of E flat? All right, so somebody tell me, what is C in the key of E flat? All right, thank you, Ross. C is the 6. So therefore, some people say, okay, yeah, you got to memorize 6, 2, 5, 1, right? That's a progression, right? 6, 2, 5, 1, right? That's how that stuff. So it's going to come out in your playing. So instead of trying to teach you how to memorize these progressions later on, I don't have to teach you that. If I cover it from the beginning, and when I cover it from the beginning in terms of teaching you, not really have to think about all these progressions, all we have to do is just teach you how to understand how the sound and how things work, then automatically you'll be practicing one thing and it's going to mean a whole bunch of things. So in one case, remember in the key of B flat, C, F, B flat was a 2, 5, 1. However, in the key of E flat, it's the 6, 2, 5, 1, right? So therefore it gets some other progressions, right? But that's the best way. So if you're new here and if you don't have the Any Key music system, all right, you want to start practicing everything you know in this order. You practice your scales, right? I'm going F, B flat. Everything you want to practice in this order. If you're not doing that, you are not maximizing your practice. You are working too hard. Okay. All right. So that's going to be the answer. And yes, you guys answered. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Laurent. Thank you very much. All right. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. So I have just a couple more minutes. I just wanted to be on for 15 minutes. I think I went over my time. But definitely, is there any other questions that you may have? And if you do, I will wait because I know that there's a slight lag in how this thing is jumping up and down. Okay, so let's see. Any other question? And I'm pretty sure that I answered. Let me just go scroll through. If there's any questions, how different? Yep, I answered all of them. Okay, so I'll make myself available. All right, so once again, I'm answering questions, play-by-ear questions, or it can be any question, any music-related question. It could be a chord that you know. It could be a progression that you know, okay? So it could be a progression. It could be a song that you know, right? And you have a question about it. The reason why, and people always ask me, okay, Robert, you seem to be able to play anything you hear, right? And be able to play it by ear and be able to play it in every single key. And I usually say, well, the reason is because I understand the language that I'm hearing. So it's a lot easier to duplicate something that you understand, right? So it's not a whole bunch of guessing, okay? So let's see. So how do you do new nuances, okay? And what's the concept? Okay, nuances. So I guess, Terrence, you're talking about adding extra things in your playing. Can you name a song, Terrence? Just name any song. It could be a basic song or a song that you know, and then I'll see if I can do it basic, and then I'll see if I can do it a little bit more advanced. Okay? So, because in terms of concepts, there are a lot of concepts. Okay? So while you're thinking of a song, and then there's a short lag, I'm gonna try find something. Just give me one quick second. Left hand, 251, Javon Ford. Okay, yep, 251. Okay, I'm not sure what the question is regarding the 251. I'm not sure if you were, Javon, I'm not sure if you were answering what we did before. If you were answering it, you'd be correct. If you're saying something else, then just kind of type what your question is so I can know. But Terrence, you said, how do you do new nuances? What's the concept? Okay, so Terrence, so just tell me a song. Tell me a song. It could be a basic song, and then I can explain something. Okay, and Javon, I see a great question. I thank you for putting it to writing the things down, and then I'll be able to kind of address that. Okay, and then I'll go in order. So Terrence, as long as you can actually just give me something very quickly, because I see the other questions popping up that I don't want to get too far down where I can't scroll and find it. So Terrence, if you're still there, because I want to go in the order that you asked, you say, how do I do new nuances and what's the concept? Okay, in the Name of Jesus congregational song. All right, so obviously I can't do the a full song. I made you work all the way there. But basically, we know, okay, first things that comes to mind. Okay, all right, so in the name of Jesus. So therefore, and you can tell me the key that you want it to be in. All right, just name a key, Terrence, or, so let's say if it was C, obviously that's basic, right? That's basic. I always teach if I can get somebody that can do that. So let me put that on here. All right, because it's an excellent question. All right. So let's say, now I always do things in Roman numerals because those are numbers. That's the language of music. All right, so hopefully you guys can follow what I'm doing. All right, so in the name of us. All right, in the name of us. Dun, 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 dun. First of all, okay, so that's just the basics, okay? So we have, let me see if I can put this a little bit closer, right? So he wants me to do it in E flat. Okay, so E flat is right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but if you could, you would believe me, it's E flat. This is C, all white, right? C sharp, D, E flat. So there could be country, but I'm not sure if that's what you want. So, okay, so let's say how should I do it? I'm doing the bass. Right, there's the different ways that you can do it. I'm not sure which styles or whatever, okay? But adding nuances, first of all we have to do is be able to get this first. So we have in the name, 1, 1, 5. So let's do this basic. So one of the first principles I like to teach, or not necessarily the first, but one of the easiest to sound very advanced is to understand a principle called approaches, okay? So what you can do is approach where you're going. Okay, let me just give you two principles. Let's say there's a principle called substitutions, okay? So in terms of substitutions, if I have some Any Key Music members that are here, all right, if you guys are there and you're at the volume 4 level, can you tell me what can we substitute for the 1? Okay, I know I saw Isaiah up there. Ross, you should be able to answer that as well. Can you guys tell me what we're able to substitute for the 1? Okay, so if you are here, okay, hold on, where am I? Okay, now there's a slight lag, but anyways, okay, so let's put it like this. Okay, so we could, let's go here, all right? So in terms of nuances, let's say we want, we understand a principle called substitutions. So substitutions is when you understand what chords you can substitute, so you could place, all right? So let's say I'm gonna change this into a 6, okay? I won't go into the reasons why right now, but let's say we can. So just take my word for it, all right? That we can go to some type of 6, okay? So we have the 6, right? And there, let's say I wanna go here. Okay, actually, you know what? Let's do 3 first. All right, so I'm going to do a 3, and then I'm going to go to a 6. Hopefully that shows up. Yes, that shows up. Okay, so let's say we did that, right? We knew substitution, so we knew the 1 and so forth. We knew what we could substitute. Okay, now let's say, well, all I have to do now is do some approaches. That's one of the quickest ways. All right, I'll just give it basic. Because I like to do things like very detailed, and it would take me a little bit more time to break down why things work, which is most important, right? But however, all I have to do now is I have to do, so I'll bring it back to, I guess I can stay in E flat, right? So let me rewrite it in the key of E flat then. So we know that E flat, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, the 1 is E flat, the 3 you should know it's G, the 6 you should know it's C. So I'm just gonna put these as minors, and then you know the 5 is a B flat, okay? So we know that that's the case, right? Obviously, in AKMS, the first thing we teach is how to play in every single key. Okay? Right? Everything in every key. Thanks, Lohan. All right, so you answered, right? You will get there, okay? So basically, we got to be able to do everything in every key. So you guys would know how to get the 1, 3, and 6. So therefore, if we know that, all I have to do is take, let's say, an approach that maybe I'm going to do a numbers approach. So what does that mean as a numbers approach? Maybe I'm going to do 2 numbers below my destination. So right now, my destination is my 3. So if my 3 is my destination, I'm going to take 2 numbers that takes me to the 3. Let's say coming from above it or from below. So I'm going to come from below. So what ends up happening is this. So if I want to get to my 3, 1 number below my 3 is going to be what? It's going to be my 2. What's 1 number below my 2? Well, it's going to be my 1. So we already know it's a 1. So actually, let's instead of doing that, let's do it like this. Let's do, that would have worked as well. So that would have worked. So we could do that. But let's say if we did semitones. So instead of, so the G, I'm going to do a semitone below my G. So a semitone below my G, we know is an F sharp. Some type of F sharp, a semitone below that is an F. And I'm going to take another semitone below that, which is E. All right. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Yes, actually, yes, that is what I wanted to do. All right. So if we had our E flat, we know we have G is our is the key. F sharp is 1 semitone below G. Below that is an F, and below that is an E. So I'm going to take 3 semitones coming from below each of these destinations. So if we know we want to get to my 6 we know is C. Even if you didn't know the numbers, you know that a semitone below your C, you know is a B. Semitone below that, you know is a B flat. Semitone below that, you know is an A, right? So therefore, I'm just going to take 3 semitones coming from below all of my destinations. So instead of, let's say, I'm just going to play the root, okay? So now I'm going to do, instead of that, I'm going to do the semitones. So all I did was played all the semitones that got me to my destinations by understanding the principle. So if I had the chords, and then, so let's do it again. And then I want to get 3 semitones below to get to my 6. Okay, so then I got to that. Actually, no, I'm supposed to be a slower. So this flat, there's an E. So then that's it. I'm going to do the same thing to get to my 5. 3 semitones below my 5. Right? So all I did, I played the melody with it, which is a principle I call progression with melodies. It's a little bit, all right, but all I did was take 3 semitones to get to each of these, okay? So that's one concept that I teach in the system. Now, I kind of made it a little bit more advanced than it really is, but all I did was do semitones to get here. Obviously, you chose the right semitones, but that would be the same thing. So it'd be like, right? So I was able to do nuances because I understand a principle and I understand how to play in every single key, which is very important. All right, so hopefully I just gave you a taste, Terrence. To be able to add nuances, you got to understand how the music works, okay, and learn principles. All right, so when someone does something, you want to understand why it works, which leads me to the next question, which was Javon. Javon asked a particular chord. He wanted to know what my thoughts are on the chord, a chord like that, okay? So let me put what he had on there, okay? All right, so hopefully that helped Javon, Terrence. So let's do this. Okay, so let's say we are here and, okay, so let's go here. So left hand, Javon says, left hand. So we have our right hand. Let's go here. Right hand is, what's our right hand playing? He's playing a 3, 5, 7, 2. And my left hand is playing a 2, 5, 1. Okay, so obviously, Javon, I believe that you're talking about, Javon, you're talking about the voicing. Okay, so if I'm in the key of C, we know we have the 3, 5, 7, 2 going up like that, and your left hand has a 2, 5, 1. So, right? So a chord like that. So the key thing is, why does this chord work? Well, number one thing that we have to find out first is what would be the bass note under this, okay? Now, I know what this chord is, but I want to ask you, okay, so Javon, did I pronounce it correctly? Yeah, Javon, right. So what is the note that's on your bass note, okay? What will you play under that? All right, so Javon, I want you to tell me what you'd play under that. Okay. What would, when I say under that, what would the bass player be playing when you play that chord? Okay. So you have your 3. That's a nice chord. So you play that over the 2. Okay. So if you're playing the 2 on the bass, okay, so we play a 2. Let me put it like this. Okay, I wish I had my webinar platform one, because on my webinar platform, I'm able to put arrows on the actual piano so that you can kind of see it. So you guys just got to join the NEQ Music membership, and then that would be there. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So we have it, all of that is over the 2. So the question is, so there's a lot of people, and I'm glad you asked this question, because you could do a search online, or somebody would be like, yeah, guys, we got this nice chord. You know, the 2, 5, 1 in your left hand, and your right hand plays a 3, 5, 7, and 2. It's a beautiful chord, and it's being used over the 2. Right? But where's it going? Right? So that, it's not just where it's going. Why does it work? And the question why it works is because of the chord that it is, okay? So we are playing this, it looks like we're playing it over the 2, and we could, right? We can be playing this chord over 2, but it's actually going somewhere else, right? Because if we break it down, we got to look at what is basically in it and how we are getting that, okay? So to understand how we're getting that, we can look at, let me put it like this. My thoughts are pretty much this. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Okay. My thoughts on that chord, it's a beautiful chord. Now, it stems from, let me put it this way. I like to teach seeing things in every key. Once you can see things in every single key, then stuff that you use won't be hard. All right? Stuff you use that, well, basically won't be hard. Okay, so let me put it this way. So when you see this particular chord, you got to ask yourself, okay, it's on the 2, but it's using aspects of something. All right, so what do I mean? So we can ask ourselves these questions in terms of identifying what it is, right? There's a couple things that you can look at it like, right? I know, to me, this chord is going to equal, all right? Sorry, let me put it like this. This chord is really a 6 over a 5, okay? It can be a 6 over a 5, or some people may say it's like a 4 major 7 over a 5, and the 5 could be like a sus4, okay? Now, I can just tell you that just from knowing and understanding why that works, but this is how you get that formula. Now, that's one way of looking at it. Once again, it could be a 6 over 5. So how can you spot that? Well, you got to understand basic chords, okay? So understanding basic chords. So for example, if I were to ask you this, let's put it in the key of C, because that's the easiest key to understand, right? If you have a 3, 5, and 7, what chord does that form? Okay. All right. 3, 5, 7. I like to keep it basic as triads. Okay. Yeah, in terms of the resolve. And that's why I'm saying, Javon, in terms of the resolving, that's what we're talking about. Right? So they can go here and the different things that you can do, right? Stuff like that. But the resolve is there's a lot of different places, right? However, Mike, so Ellie says it's a 5. Yeah, so once again, I'm saying that all of this, it's really a 6 over a 5. So even though it's used on the 2, it's really a 6 over 5. But I'm going to show you how to break it down. So I'm asking the chord that has a 3, 5, and 7 in it. So in the key of C, the 3 would be E. If you guys were my members, I would make you guys have to really write it out before. But anyways, the 3 in the key of C would be an E. Then the 5 would be a G. The 7 would be a B. So what chord is this? E, G, B played together. It's a lot easier, obviously, if you're in front of your piano. All right. But if E, G, B are played together, what chord is that? Okay. And I will wait because I know that there is a slight lag. Okay, so let me see if there are, okay. So once again, I'm saying that this chord, I'm saying is a 6 over a 5. Okay. So it's some type of 6 over 5. So thank you. So Joshua, thank you, Joshua. Hey, Joshua, good to see you. All right, exactly. That's an E minor. So if it's an E minor in the key of C, what number is E? We know that in the key of C, okay, we know that E is the 3rd. So it looks like a 3, right? It can pass for a 3. Okay, Javon. So what about the flat 3, 3 flat, 5 flat, and 6 flat, 1 resolve? Okay, so you have, so if we have this, then the flat 3, flat 5, and the flat 6 and the 1, right? So if you're resolving it, right, that's a tritone voicing in there on a dominant chord, okay? But in terms of this one that we're answering, so it looks like a 3, and it does. So this can be a 3 also over a 2, or it can be a 6 over 5. Okay, let me put it like this. So this is a 3, and obviously if you add another note in it, and Ellie, yes, thank you very much. It was a 3, you put a 3. The 2, which we know is D, this will be known in traditional world, this chord would be known as an E minor 7. In my world, I call it an E minor flat 7 because the D is a flat 7 and the G is a flat 3rd, which makes it minor. All right, so you'd call it, or the traditional world will say it's an E minor 7. I think accurately it should be called an E minor flat 7. Okay, so it's an E minor flat 7, which would be a 3, right? Which this would be a 3, and this would be some type of 2. And as you can see, it's not a 2 minor, but it's playing it as a 2, 5, 1. Which would be a D, G, and C. And once again, this gets hopefully not too complicated. Shouldn't be. But that chord, right? So it looked like a D, G, and B, right? D, a D, a G, and a C, okay? And so if you were to invert that chord, a D, G, and a C, it's really going to, now the thing is, because it's being used on the D as the 2, it may look like really a 3, but really it's more like a 6 over 5. So therefore, if we put it like this, which key is E the 6th in? Okay? Okay, and I know that you guys know that answer, and I'll just put it, and I know you guys are going to type it. The 6th, E is the 6th in the key of G, right? So this would be some type of 6 chord, as I said, right? And this, the bottom, would be a 5. So that's why it would be an E over the D, right? This is a D, G, C. When we put it together, where can I put it? I can put it right here. So if we have the 251, which is a D, G, C as a chord, right? What chord does it form? Well, if we put the D over here, right, we can see that it forms a G, it forms a C, and a D, which a lot of you that would know, you would eventually know that that chord is known as a sus4 chord. Specifically, it's a G sus4, right? So even though it has the D at the bottom, it's like it's going, well, we know it's going to the 5 after, right? Eventually, I know that you wanted to add those notes there, Javon, and then it goes to the 5, or can be used. This would be like a 5 chord, right? This voicing that we're using is more like a 5. So therefore, when you see that it's there, it's like it's a it's a 6 over the 5 sus4. Okay? So it's like a 6 over the 5, no, not the 5 sus4. It'd be a 6 over the 5, but no, that would be a sus4. What am I telling you guys? Right? The 5, it's a type of, okay, let me put it like this. Okay, it would look like a 4 sus2, and then it will look like the 1 sus4 if we're going back into the key. So it would look like a 1 sus4. However, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that all of this is really, okay, so it looked like, sorry guys, it looked like a 1 sus4 inverted, okay? So specifically, G would be the 1, and therefore then it'd be the second inversion. That's making it a little bit more complex, but all of it stems to be a 5 sus4, which is what I'm saying. Why? Because it's going to have, if it was in the key of C, it's going to have the main notes G, C, and D in it. I could have just said that, all right? It's going to have the G, C, and D in it. So it's really a sus4 chord that's going to resolve to take you back to where it wants to go, which is naturally the G is going to take you to some type of C, okay? So, yeah, I could have made it a lot easier. Okay, thanks. All right, so basically that can work. In terms of the other chord that you have, all of this, when you said, you have that chord, the same chord, and then you have the flat 3. Sorry guys, the joys of being live. I didn't plan on being on so long. It was supposed to be 15 minutes, but I just can't resist answering questions, okay? So I just realized that my batteries needed to change, okay? So sorry about that. Okay, so that's really, like I said, it's really like a 1 sus4, but it's really, let me put it like that. So it's like a 4 sus, really it's a chord that you use. This chord is like a 5 sus4, right? And it's going to resolve, right? And when you add that chord, that's what we call a tritone substitution on the dominant chord, right? How do I put this? Okay. I wish I had the thing where I can just show you guys. Actually, I can do it like this. Okay. Just Javon, in terms of your question that you had. Okay. Okay, so I don't want to erase that. Okay, so it's like a 5 sus, but then Javon says that chord now goes to this. Now, this is at the intermediate level, so I know it's going to be harder to understand if you're a total beginner, but hopefully you're being entertained, right? Then he says it went to the flat 3, all right? So this went a semitone lower, then he says flat 5, that went a semitone lower, and then he said, What else? Let me see what else you said. You said it went to, yep, you said it went to your flat six, and then it had the 1. And all of that, right? And then he says, and then you went to the 5. Exactly. Excuse me. Such a good question, I had to cough. Okay. All right, so when you had that, and then you go here, and then you go to the 5. Now, the beautiful thing is, it's already a 5, really, going to another 1. But the 1 in this particular case is actually the 5, which is the 1. So, for example, what I'm going to teach, I teach in NQ Music System, when everybody can play in every single key, not only will you do that chord in one place, that takes you to the 5. Let's say if I'm going to my 6, then you could do that same chord, and then to that 6, I'm going to use my 4. I'm going to use it to get to my 3, and my 3 to my 6, right? So you don't just use it for your 2 to your 5, whatever. You use it everywhere, right? So once it works to get there, then you can use it all the other different places, okay? Like a 4 over the 5. Yes, exactly. It's like a 4 over the 5. It's a 6 over the 5, or you can see it like a 4 major 7, or they call it a 4 major 9 over the 5. So once again, it's like, so therefore, if you know that this chord, you're playing that chord, Javon, and you know that, let's say, like I said, this is like, it's like a 5, some type of 5. Let me put it, what key is D the 5th note in? Okay, which key is D the 5th note in? All right, so somebody type that, and then I'll just get to this last part, and that should be good, right? Which key is D the 5th note in? Okay, you know, I got a little bit of a lag here, all right? But I'm sure that you guys understand, okay? So basically, we know that D is the 5th in the key of, thank you, Joshua, right? In the key of G. So if I'm telling you that this is a 6 over 5, that chord, Javon, that's telling us that we can now play anything in the key of the G chord, G scale, and it's all gonna work. There's nothing you can play in the key of G that's not gonna work for that chord. So that's why, even though it's used on the 2, right? NEQ Music members will tell you that even though it's used on the 2, we know how to switch and be able to switch keys to not make it hard. So therefore, even though I am using it on the 2, so let's say, so when the saints go, right? To go to my 2 there. So I'm gonna use that chord, right? Or if I want to play progression with melodies, and then, right? So I can put it together. That's how you play, right? Most people have a challenge playing advanced because they just don't understand. They're being given a whole bunch of stuff, but they don't understand what the stuff that they're playing. That's why it's looking hard, okay? So this is the last thing that I'm going to add here, Javon, which is when you played this, okay? So you had this chord, and then what you added on it, you added and you resolved it, right? And then you went back to your 5, okay? So the 3 flat in the key of C, we know that the notes are simply E flat, okay? Then it went to the flat 5, which we know is an F sharp or a G flat, okay? And we know that the flat 6 is either an A flat or a G sharp. I'll put A flat. And by the way, whoever teaches you this, now I'm very strong opinionated when it comes to theory. So whoever teaches you that you have to spell it correctly with, if you say flat, then all of them have to be flats. That is an outdated teaching. I won't say erroneous, right? But it's an outdated teaching. That is not correct. You don't have to do that. This is not a music, this is not an English class. right? So certain rules you can use from English, but not all of them, okay? So I can switch this around on purpose. And obviously we know that the one in the key of C is C. So therefore, when we have this chord, the E flat, F sharp, A flat, and C, right? The E flat, F sharp, A flat, and C, right? So when we resolve to that chord, right? The reason why it works is, like I told you, it's a principle. Well, it's still like the 2 to the 5, or like the first question that was asked by it's either Ross or Laurent asks about why we do it in certain particular order, right? This is why we do it, so that these things become a lot easier. However, but the reason why this works is, this is the last part I'm going to give you guys today, is the principle of a tritone, okay? Now, sometimes there's some misconceptions of a tritone, but all a tritone is, all right? So when we say tritone, tritone is only tri, which means 3, and tone, which means tone. Okay, so it's just a distance of 3 tones. Okay, so it's not any harder than that. So most people are like, man, the tritone's so hard. Like, don't make it so hard. It's not that deep. Sorry, it is very deep, actually. I should say that, but it's not really that hard. So why am I saying that? So we know that the D here, right? I said this when you went here, that chord, the second chord, Javon, that you gave me, I said it's a type of tritone substitutions, meaning you can add it to your playing. So what do I mean? So my question is, we know that this 2 is a D. So I'll just put it, it's a D. We know it's a D. What's the tritone of D? Right? So you guys see the piano over, sorry, one second. I'm looking at 2 different screens. Oh, over here. So you see the little piano here. It doesn't light up because I don't do that light up stuff, because I teach understanding. You want to make sure you understand. So you can see that you have a D. What is the note that is 3 tones higher than the D? Okay, I want you to type it. If you're at the intermediate level, even at the beginner level, right, and you understand semitones and tones, I want you to type and tell me what is 3 tones higher than the D. Okay, tell me what is 3 tones higher than the D. Okay, and okay, Joshua, you give me an answer. I want to see 2 more people that give me the answer. Okay, 2 more people give me an answer. Okay, or at least 1 more person. Okay, all right, because I want to make sure that you're getting this. All right, in the Any Key Music members webinars, I don't move on until I get people that actually answered, a certain amount of people. Because I want to make sure we get the most amount of people that are learning, or who are learning. Right? I guess I can imply that. Okay. All right. So I'll go with what I have so far. All right, Joshua, thank you very much. Exactly. 3 tones above the D. You can see the piano there. Ellie, thank you very much. Exactly. 3 tones above it is an A flat. So remember what I said. When you see a lot of these things in voicings, it can look harder than it really is. Okay. So I said it's A flat. I'm sorry. No, I didn't say it. You guys said it's A flat, but I'm confirming that yes, 3 tones above the D, in this case it was the 2, is an A flat. So I said when you did this voicing on top of the D, that was the next chord, by the way, all right, what ended up happening is we did something. And I said it's a tritone substitution. So how can I say that? So let's say I take the E flat and I put it over here. So if I have A flat, C, and E flat, okay? So even if I just had that, okay, so I invert the chord that you gave me. What is A flat? Not, forget the F sharp for now, so I'll remove it. I'll come back to it. But what is A flat, C, and E flat? What chord is that? Can anybody tell me? What chord is A flat, C, and E flat? If you played it together, can somebody tell me what chord that is? All right. Thank you, Laurent. Exactly. Right. But let's finish it. You put a G sharp. Is it a G sharp what? Is it minor? Is it diminished? Is it augmented? What chord is that? Okay. So the A flat, C, E flat, or you can say G sharp, C. It is okay, Joshua. I like what you're saying. All right, and I'm pretty sure Laurent, you were saying the same thing. Exactly, it's a major chord, but notice it's just an inversion of the A flat of this. So remember I said it was a tritone substitution. So all that chord is, it looks funkier than it really is, but it really just is an inversion, okay, of a tritone substitution. So it's just the major chord that is a tritone of that. So that's what you call tritone substitutions. And if you put the F sharp in here, you know, they would call that some type of dominant. So you add the flat 7. So if you always wanted to get that voicing, all you have to do is add the voice, all you got to do is add the flat 7 in there and figure out the inversion that you're playing, and then it comes together. Ellie, thank you very much. It's a major. You got it. Okay, so hopefully I've been able to give you guys a little bit of an insight into understanding. Most people struggle to play by ear because they are looking at music way too hard. And once again, it's because they don't understand what they're hearing. I always say it all the time. Everybody who can't play by ear or play advanced piano by ear doesn't have a play by ear problem. They have a problem understanding the language of music that they are hearing. Okay, so that is going to be it today. I'm probably going to do more sessions like this, but usually I'm going to try to keep it to 10 to 15 minutes so that I can actually make sure, I'll just do whatever I can. You know, I'll make myself available for the questions as long as I can. So sometimes it'll be 10 minutes, sometimes it'll be more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or like now it's a little bit longer than that. Okay, so we've definitely gone for a little bit. All right, so what you guys can do, definitely, if you've learned something, I'm learning this new system, is just press like, right? Or if you know others that or who can benefit from this, definitely share it with them as well. Or when you guys rewatch it, comment, or share, like, and do all that kind of stuff, because when that happens, I don't get any money for it, so I'm not going to get money for likes or shares, but it lets me know that there's people that are interested in wanting to learn how to understand the language of music. However, if you do want to take it further, but it'd be a good idea to actually visit some of my training at AnyKeyMusic.com. I have a link on here that is going to come from below. It's a scroll for those of you that don't have the AnyKey Music system or access or anything. This special link is going to come through. Once it comes, then you can actually go to that and see that there's actually I'm not sure where that's going to lead me to. I think it's going to give me like a 6-video training on how to play musical runs with ease and fat chords and stuff like that. So just like, share, you guys are commenting. All right, if you haven't subscribed to AnyKey Music, you can do that. But anyways, here is the link that I was talking about. Okay, it's to make it smaller, I had to do it like this, which is tinyurl.com/y23z935y. That's tinyurl.com/y23z935y. Okay, so if you want to definitely learn how to master the art of playing piano by ear and play it in any key, just like many others are doing, a lot of people are doing it, all right, then I'd love to teach you. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. Hopefully it's a little bit clearer. It'll be a lot more clear once you understand the AnyKey Music system, but anyways, this is good for now. Okay, so guys, this is going to be it, and I'm glad that you guys were able to learn or get better in your playing. All right, so it was such a pleasure being on live, and just keep on going. And I know that I would love to help you reach your musical goals, and I know that I will be able to help you reach your musical goals once you understand all the principles of the AnyKey Music system. So all right, once again, share, like, send this out for people that are looking at music too hard. Let them start learning as well. Okay, have a great day, guys. God bless, and I'll see you another time. All right, God bless.